Hi YouTube, welcome back. Now as we come into winter properly, I think something that really needs a little bit more intention, a little bit more thought is what we do in the morning, that morning routine. And frankly, in the summer, it is just so much easier to hop out of bed and get going with your day, but it is increasingly more difficult as we head into those darker, colder, wetter, more miserable months in general. So I wanted to run through a little example of what my morning routine looks like, but also to give you something that is hopefully really easy and repeatable for you to actually follow if you kind of don't really have much structure to your morning routine at the moment. And this is not going to be complicated and hopefully not unrealistic either. We're actually going to be using, I know, shocker, some evidence to back up why we're doing what we're doing. And you might be pleased to know that there isn't a sound bath or a meditation or some kind of 10-step coffee routine. So hopefully it's actually really easy and repeatable for you to try yourself. So one of the first things is really that wake up time, okay? So getting up in the morning and actually getting out of bed. You kind of got to do that. That's a bit of a non-negotiable for most people anyway. So when it comes to that wake up time, I would highly recommend getting into a bit of a rhythm with when you go to bed and when you wake up, right? And you might see people on Instagram, etc., getting up at 4 a.m. and going to the gym. Like, that's fine if that works for them, but there is no perfect time for you to be starting your day. So when we're thinking about trying to regulate that sleep-wake cycle, we kind of want to think about when do we need to be awake in the morning, right? So let's say you need to be up at 6 a.m. if you're going to get in a gym session before getting to work. Then that means you got to be asleep by 10, or you at least need to aim for that, right? So actually a good night's sleep can often start the night before, like getting yourself prepared, giving yourself a bedtime. Something that I like to do is setting an alarm an hour before I want to be asleep that kind of goes off as like a reminder that now is the time to start winding down. Now is the time to pry my eyes away from whatever screen I'm watching. Maybe I want to dim the lights a little bit. Maybe I want to do some reading, like whatever it is that gets you in the frame of mind to actually sleep. Because I absolutely know for a fact that some of you are scrolling until the very last second and then putting your phone down and hoping that you fall asleep immediately. That is not a good way to signal to your brain and your body that it is time for rest. So we're reverse engineering our sleep so that we can wake up when we need to after having at least that kind of 7 or 8 hours. I've also recently purchased one of those sunrise alarm clocks, which just really helps to give that effect of natural daylight when there is just none to be seen when I'm waking up at the minute. Obviously not essential, but a nice to have. And this leads me on to my next point, which is do not snooze. Nobody ever felt more well rested after snoozing for 9 minutes. Because honestly, how many times have you snoozed and felt more tired after doing that? So really work on getting into that habit of just getting up on your alarm. And like, yeah, realistically, you're still probably gonna feel a little bit sleepy. Would we all love to stay in bed a little bit longer? Yeah, sure. But again, that's where that bedtime really comes into play, because if you know that you've had kind of 7 or 8 hours of decent sleep, you can kind of reassure yourself, like, yeah, I might be tired right now, but I've had a good sleep and I should be ready to start the day. Once I've had my coffee, once I've hydrated, everything will be fine. Next, we want to hydrate. Now, personally, I have to have coffee, like immediately on waking, ideally. And it actually is something that really helps me to get out of bed because I'm looking forward to that first sip of coffee. But I will also, of course, make sure I'm getting some water in because, you know, we're dehydrated after not drinking or eating anything all night. In terms of like timing your coffee and your water, waiting 60 minutes until you have your first bit of caffeine, like that, in my opinion, is overrated. You don't need to be worrying about caffeine timing. I feel like as long as you're not chugging coffee at 5 p.m. and hoping that you'll still be asleep by 10, you're going to be okay. It's probably a good idea to give yourself a caffeine cutoff of say 2 or 3 o'clock if you're looking at a 10 o'clock bedtime. With that hydration piece, you're going to be best off with water, right? I mean, I am a massive squash fiend. Nothing wrong with squash or any kind of flavored drinks. Great. If that helps you to stay hydrated, that is absolutely fine. You probably don't need to be buying electrolytes unless you are, say, an endurance athlete who is going out and doing a very long run where you're going to be sweating a lot. You're going to be needing to replace those sodium levels and give yourself those electrolytes as you're training. Definitely something to look at. But for the average person, The benefits of electrolytes are definitely way overrated. So just make sure you're getting in some water and having a coffee if that's your jam. For my first drink of the day, I'm currently obsessed with ESN's daily powder, and I just use a couple of scoops of this in a big glass of water, which essentially gives me my creatine and some L-glutamine, some collagen. Collagen is probably overrated too, to be honest with you, but creatine is something I take every day, non-negotiably. So the fact that I can just get that in within that scoop and it tastes good, that's a winner for me. As I say, I'm a squash girl, so I need some flavor to my water if I'm gonna be drinking enough of it. And then I would highly recommend that you spend this time from wake up to hydration without phones. If you can pry yourself away from looking at your phone, I would highly recommend it. I love to do just like 5 to 10 pages of reading first thing in the morning. I really feel like it just gives me that moment of calm before the day actually begins. And then once that little ritual is done, I'm then gonna get myself ready for the gym. So as a disclaimer, I usually wouldn't do this bit, but I've got some filming to do today and I'm heading out for dinner tonight. So we're gonna do a little bit of base makeup before the gym, which I get might sound a bit rogue, but as I say, not the usual day. I'm obsessed with this stuff for eyebrows. I think I was influenced on TikTok or something. It's called By Ellie, and it just sets them and like separates them. I mean, even just with that, without any filling, I feel like they just look so much better. Look at the comparison. Don't know if you can really see, but would recommend. So my go-to kind of no makeup is Flawless Filter. Just gives you like a little tint and shimmer rather than coverage. And then obviously the brows. It's like a gel, but it's not sticky. And as soon as you get it wet, like it disappears. It's amazing, but otherwise it just sticks all day. And then this is actually really funny. I've never really realized this until I'm filming it, but I'm currently using this like sample blush cream palette. Look at it, look at the state. I am gonna buy the proper one because the colors are amazing and it's lasted me so long. I swear I've been using this for like 2 months. This is Refi Beauty, and I think the cherry is my favorite. It's just a really nice pigmented color, and literally that's all you need, like a tiny little dab. Just gives you a little bit of life in the old cheeks. This is the problem with these dark mornings. You've got no idea what you actually look like in daylight until it's too late. And then a little lip tint. If you don't already know about this, then you might have been living under a rock, because I swear I get like 15 ads for it every single day, but with good reason, because it's great. Obviously looks insane going on. And then you just leave that for a couple of minutes, wipe it off. And you've got this like really nice lip stain. This is shade Charming, apparently. And then I actually forgot, I do normally put on a little concealer. Usually just, and this is not ideal because now I've got blush all over my fingers, but let's try and find a clean one. Just a little under the eyes. And any like active redness. And then just take a little damp flannel to wipe this off. Wipes off super easy. It just gives you a little something. All that's left is a bit of good old Carmex. Just don't think you can beat it, really. Especially in these months, these like cold winter months. Voila. And now to the gym. Now, first thing in the morning is when I train. That is just what I do. I find it's the best time for me to be doing some exercise. I've got most of my energy first thing in the morning, and it really sets me up for the day. When it comes to pre-workout nutrition, you really don't need to be thinking about getting a full meal in prior to the gym. especially if you're someone who finds it difficult to eat first thing. Carbs are going to be the most easily digestible carbs are the things that you're wanting to prioritize. It's probably not a super good idea to be eating a big heavy protein source and a big heavy fat source like 30 minutes prior to stepping into the gym, simply because that's going to sit a little bit heavy. Proteins and fats take a little more energy to break down than carbs do. Okay, carbs are really quick, fast releasing energy. So if you are training first thing, I would recommend something really easy and simple, and then you can have your kind of bigger post-workout meal once you're back from the gym. We're about to head to the gym, and the last thing that I need to do is have a little snack. So I used to train fasted for years, and actually I was okay with that. At the time, I didn't really notice kind of any massive drop off in energy or that I was really craving any food that early in the morning. But I would say the last couple of years, I've really noticed that having something really helps. I can just push a bit harder when I've got a little bit of fuel in me. Usually it will be fully carb based, just like fast available energy. So like a slice of toast with honey is my go-to. I might have like a banana, but at the moment these are offensive, frankly. These are going to the freezer, and they'll be for banana bread or something similar, because if you eat bananas like this, I can't help you. You also want to get some daylight in your eyeballs as soon as you can upon waking. So for me, I need to walk to my gym. Well, I don't need to, I could drive, but it's an easy walk. So that is kind of 2 birds, 1 stone for me. And getting that daylight first thing really helps to set that circadian rhythm. It tells your body, I'm starting the day, and therefore that internal clock kind of starts ticking, and it will help to keep that sleep-wake cycle really nice and regular. If you're not someone who trains first thing in the morning, I would still recommend you don't skip this part. Like, take yourself out for a little walk. Even if it's 5 minutes, you will still get the benefits of that natural daylight. And again, it just gives you that little slither of time for you before the business of the day begins. Then it is time for breakfast or post-workout. So with this meal, I will always go for something that has a good hit of protein, a good hit of carbs, and also some color. So we're wanting some fiber in there too. Raspberries are the ultimate high fiber snack, and it gives you 1 of your 5 a day. So before I sit down and start the day of work, we have given ourselves a little slither of me time, quiet time. I've hydrated, I've caffeinated, I've done a little bit of exercise, got some sunlight in my eyeballs, and I have some good nutritious food in my belly. I'm ready to go. And I would honestly say that your morning routine does not need to be any more complicated than that. Another thing that I would say with building in any kind of routine is, if at the moment you're someone who rolls over, snoozes 5 times, drags himself out of bed, and then sits immediately down at their desk, like going from that to something like the structure I've just mentioned might sound a little bit overwhelming. So if you've currently got absolutely no structure, just pick 1 or 2. Maybe instead of snoozing, you get up on the first alarm, you go out for that 5-minute walk, and you drink a glass of water before sitting down at your desk. That is going to be a lot better than nothing at all. I think the overarching point is, obviously everyone's day is going to look different. Your commute to work, your hours of work, your responsibilities, you might have kids, you might have a dog you need to walk, like all of these things are going to vary from person to person. So there really isn't a perfect morning routine per se. There is just a perfect routine for you that you can do every day. Thank you for spending the morning with me. I really need to crack on now and get to my day job. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Love you, bye.